Pugh. That will do it! Pugh for Bournemouth! The roof of the Gold Sands is raised! Everyone here knows what that could mean to this football.
Evening. I tell you what, these weekly preview shows are basically turning into news roundups, aren't they? With numerous elements of transfer activity going on, whether it's signings or rumours. They seem to be circulating Dean Court every week, and we seem to time it just right. There's plenty to discuss tonight with a signing that's been announced this morning. So no doubt we'll be talking about our defensive rock, full of composure, style, tough tackling and pizzazz. But enough about Ibsen Rossi. We'll also talk about Gary Cahill too, that has signed this morning. Nevertheless, of course, this is a preview show of the Blackpool game. And once again, it is your show. So from about 20 minutes past 8, we'll be free-for-alling it. So to take part, you know the usual link. We'll pop the details at the top of the screen and on a banner during the start of the show. But if you want to get in the room ready now, you know the usual link. If you've had a 404, that's an error that basically says page not found. It's because it stored last week's link. So you just might need to do a force refresh and everything will be all good for you. If you're new to the channel, blah, 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 usual stuff, chat, you can subscribe and all that kind of stuff. But later on, we're going to hear from TalkSport's Jed Mills, and he's going to run the rule over the Tangerines this season. And whilst he might be hoping Blackpool are going to rock, see what I did there? We're always going to be hoping, of course, that the Cherries pip the tangent. Oh, let's just move on. Come on. Enough of my bloody awful jokes. So this morning, Scott Parker had his presser. He spoke to the media. Of course, you can see the whole thing for free on AFCB TV. Go check it out. But speaking of Gary Cahill, who we're going to be talking about later, he spoke very highly of him, saying that he's someone who brings a wealth of experience and massive quality. He said, when you're trying to structure a squad to go into a big season, there are loads of dynamics, characters and traits that you're all trying to fit in. We're a younger side, and there's personally no better player, in my opinion, that can help our young players and us on the field. I'm delighted to have him here. It was hard to get over the line, but we are absolutely delighted to see him in a Cherries shirt. Yes, and we certainly are delighted. And yes, Scott Parker speaking very well. I really enjoy hearing what he's got to say, actually. So I think he's actually a little bit more loose-tongued than previous managers we've had. Now, of course, David Brooks is back, isn't he? He's going to be available again after his one-match suspension. And in terms of other injury news, he said, we are where we were before. He said, for everyone else, it's too early, including, that is, Steve Cook and Lewis Cook as well. He loved the return of Ben Pearson and Junior Stanislas, and they are going to be available for this fixture. Now, onto our opponents. And he said, Blackpool, they're a very young and well-organised team. He said Neil Critchley has done a great job. It could be a tough game for us, he said. We can't give them too much time. They've also got a good threat. The players will be aware of that, and our levels need to be high. It's a coach team. They did very well last year, and in the games I've seen, he said they've played very well. So, what of Blackpool? I think it's time to get an opposition view, eh? Yeah, look, and I think Blackpool are going to be a bit tougher than what we think. It's not quite a free hit, although some fans are thinking that. But Blackpool's manager, as I mentioned, is Neil Critchley. He took over from Simon Grayson in March 2020. And he was previously at the under-23s in Liverpool. But in his first full season at Bloomfield Road, he got promoted to the Championship. They were in the playoff final against Lincoln. Did really well in that. The last time they were in the Championship, that was in our promotion season, 2014-15, to the Cherries, of course. We finished champions. Blackpool went down after finishing a bottom. We played Blackpool at Dean Court last in March 2015. Now, I believe this was the the next game after the Fulham 5-1, where Brett Pitman scored a wonder goal. He scored a wonder goal in this one. In fact, he scored a hat-trick, the perfect hat-trick, right foot, left foot header. And Mark Pugh was then brought down in the box later on, and Callum Wilson converted from the spot. In our home games in the league against Blackpool, Cherries have won 7, drawn 4, and lost 7. Of course, this is over a long period of time, because Blackpool, they sort of used to be our stablemates back in the day. Now, a reminder that in 15 minutes, it's your show, so make sure you come in ready to chat, Cherries. We can't wait to speak to you. But first, to get a view on the Tangerines, I spoke to TalkSport's Jed Mills. He works for Tangerine TV. Of course, you'll hear him on TalkSport, and he was on the BBC as a breakfast presenter in Lancashire for a long time. But he's loving life in the Championship, but he's acutely aware of the threat that AFC Bournemouth pose. Pleased to welcome Jed Mills from TalkSport onto the show, and you've got a bit of a relationship with Lancashire, haven't you?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, obviously, I live here, live in Lancashire, live here, obviously in the area. So, always lived here. So, and TalkSport was just a gig that I couldn't turn down at the time. And, I mean, COVID's been weird because obviously I've got a home studio. So I'm it's been quite nice. We've been able to work from home. So I'd have to travel to London every weekend and sort of spend all my weekends up there. But, so yeah, it's weirdly, it's been strange times, but it's been all right for me because I've still carried on with work and obviously living at home, so it's been good.
So in terms of Blackpool then, you've done the commentary for a number of seasons, do a bit of Tangerine TV as well, and have you got some fond memories of matches against the Cherries or not so much?
Well, there's not so much. I mean, I just think funny memories for me. I mean, I remember I really like Bournemouth Stadium. Is he still called the Gold Bond? It was
the Gold Sand Stadium. Now sponsorship purposes, the Vitality.
So, yeah, but
Dean Court is what it's been.
Yeah. So we always class it as Dean Court, but yeah, I remember going and it was the gold. I remember thinking that, and I was like, "What? Who is this?" But we used to call it Dean Court. But yeah, Gold Sands, whatever it was. Yeah. But it was there. So it was when Bournemouth were going to go. They were in the Championship, the top of the league. They were going to go. It was first time going into the Premier League. We were commentating on a game. We had a great night in Bournemouth as well. Is there a hotel is it called like the Roundhouse or something?
Yes, there is. Yeah, the top of the Lansdowne. Yeah.
It's not the greatest.
No.
We just was like, when we went in there, we were like, what is this place? But we thought it's just a bed, and so we had a great weekend. And I think for away fans and Blackpool fans travelling to Bournemouth, it is a great. It's like people come to Blackpool on away days. It's a good weekend. You can have loads of like accommodation from the dearest to the cheapest and stuff like that. But anyway, yeah. So that was that, and we went. I remember going to the ground and. Yeah, it was. Bournemouth were absolutely rocking at the time. It was a full house, and I have to say, he's in state. I mean, I've been from obviously Blackpool's journey, it's Premier League right the way down to League Two. I mean, we have done everything.
That's right.
I'm fortunate to have. I think I'm at about 9. I want to say about 89, 90 of the away ground, and there's more because obviously some have dropped into the conference. But and that's just because of Blackpool going Premier League, League Two, and all that, every single division. But yeah, I say at that time, Bournemouth's ground, it was rocking, it was full to the brim, everyone was just on such a high, and Blackpool just getting spanked. It must have been 5-6-1 or if I remember rightly. And it was, to be honest, it was one of those where sometimes you just watch an away team take you apart and. You've got to enjoy it. Do you know what I mean? You've got to. Sometimes, I mean, I'm sure as a Bournemouth fan, there's teams that you play and you just go, that was brilliant, and you sort of applaud them and you move on, and that's the way it is. And Bournemouth, I remember being one of those teams where they were just fantastic. And then at Blackpool at Bloomfield Road, again in the Championship, Lee Clark was the manager of Blackpool, and Blackpool had tried to nullify Bournemouth's brilliant passing style that they had under Eddie Howe, and they trained on the pitch. This was under the Olsen era, and of course there was no they didn't look after the pitch or anything like that. They weren't bothered at that point. So Lee Clark just went, right, we're training on the pitch this week. We're going to try and cut it up so when Bournemouth come, hopefully they'll have to some more long balls that might help us a little bit. And Bournemouth, I think, won that day like 4-0. They sort of played just beach football, just chipped it up, knocked it in. I mean, it was just, again. So yeah, not. I mean, great memories as in like I've always kind of watched. I've always enjoyed watching Bournemouth in their years from Championship up to Premier League. I always thought they played the right way. I always thought they tried to play the right way. Passing, good high tack, counter press, that kind of thing. And I've always enjoyed that. So yeah, I've always enjoyed Bournemouth. And like I say, away days at Bournemouth were always just great weekends. So yeah, really enjoyed it, even though Blackpool got battered.
So you mentioned the Oyston era then. Of course, things have been very much on the up since then. And look, you were playing that brand of football last season and teams were fearing playing you and you got promoted. And Neil Critchley, he's done a really good job. How do you think it's going to be this season? I mean, what's the aim? Is it just to stay up or do you think you can sort of push for mid-table or what?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, obviously everyone's, fans are fickle, aren't they? We're 3 games in and everyone's like, oh my God, what's going on? And it's like, well, they've got to learn, they've got to learn how to. I think people resort back to Blackpool in the Championship last time, and then suddenly they had this amazing run and went into the Premier League. And I think, unfortunately, for a lot of fans, they go, well, that's going to be the case this time. It's like, it's not. And the reason why is because the Championship is so different from when Blackpool did it. And I remember when Bournemouth first did it. Do you always remember there was always a team in the Championship? I'm talking like from sort of 2008, 9, 7, 6. There was always a team that always had a brilliant run and a team that like were just great for that year, brilliant for that year, and had hardly any injuries. And just ended up going up either through the playoffs or going up automatic. Just had one of those great seasons, and it all came together. And then you were in the Premier League where the money came. Now, obviously, Blackpool, they never, it all got siphoned off. That's how it was. Bournemouth, they sort of obviously stayed in the Premier League a long time, went down, but then the parachute payments, and were able to keep those players and able to keep those wages and stuff. So it is different. Fans are a little concerned, but listen, there's a lot of fans saying, it is only 3 games in, nothing to worry about. But I don't think I don't think at the start of the season it ever was, let's just finish, 21st or whatever it is, and just outside that relegation. For me personally, I was like between 10th and 15th. I think is a good result for Blackpool, and 10th being, wow, what a fantastic season. 15th being, they've won some games. They've obviously, they'd have played some games, just lost out, and they'd have got battered in some games, So, and then obviously you build on that. You build on getting more players in, sustainable, that kind of thing, and try and make your way through. But Championship's different. It's now, you look at who's coming down, like West Brom. They look very good. You guys look very good. The only team that's come down that you think, Sheffield United, for me, I'm not sure they'll make it. No. But you've got a lot of other teams that, let's be honest, were sort of Premier League 2 or 3 years ago that are probably going to be there or thereabouts. So it's completely changed. The money was changed. So again, that sort of going from the League One and having maybe 1 or 2 years in the Championship going to the Premier League. That is so rare. I mean, that is so rare, and I don't think will happen because you'll fall away at some point. You haven't got the squad. You need to spend a lot of time. I mean, look at Bristol City. Brilliant club, great city, brilliant. A lot of money getting spent into it. But at the end of the day, you think to yourself, well, they've still never made it, and that's just because of how hard it is.
It is hard. They're a sleeping giant. And you know what? You did well to get a draw there. It was a last-minute goal, wasn't it, on the very first game of the season? And look, since then you got the 3-0 over Middlesbrough in the Carabao Cup, which is a performance where you dominated. But then Cardiff City 2-0, Coventry 1-0. So ahead of a trip to Bournemouth. How are Tangerines fans feeling at the moment ahead of this? Is there some negativity?
So Cardiff, they got schooled. Mick McCarthy just, pretty clear. He just tactical masterclass, to be honest. Yeah. They got schooled against Cardiff. Fair enough. Coventry, you know what? You could see they learned from that. Coventry were very good. The 2 lads up front were fantastic, to be fair. They look a really good. Mark Robbins has got a really good side there. But Blackpool had 3 or 4 very, very good. One-on-one chances that should be in. So they should have got a point for me. They should have got a definite point. If not, they should have at least got a couple, maybe even a win. But a point, I think, possibly would have been a fair result, just with the chances Blackpool had. So I think they'd have been disappointed there, but taking positives. So going on to the Bournemouth game, see, I was saying at the very start of the season, I was like, I think Blackpool have got a brilliant start to the season. Bristol City away is a brilliant sort of game. It's a great stadium fan, and it's a great leveller. Whereabouts are you? Cardiff, then, we've got history over Cardiff, beat them in the playoff finals, yet they play the Premier League. Again, it's at home. And then Coventry, you were like, okay, that would be a good match. Before you face Bournemouth, who are going to be there or thereabouts, you know what I mean? Which is, for me, wherever you are against Bournemouth, against like West Brom, I think them teams are just right there. So for me, I'll tell you what it is. I think Blackpool have to, if they can keep Bournemouth 0-0 in the first 20 minutes, the crowd will get on to Bournemouth, because I think Bournemouth fans will be expecting 4 or 5-0. And I get it, and I do totally get that. So if Blackpool can keep them to 0-0, 15, 20 minutes, and maybe frustrate them, and have a few chances for Bournemouth, that's the way Blackpool are going to do it. The only concern is if Bournemouth score early, then the floodgates could open, because you think heads could drop and stuff. But the only one positive with Blackpool, we'd speak about this on the preview show, and we were saying that, we were speaking to a former striker, and we said the thing with this game is Blackpool have absolutely nothing to lose. They are supposed to get beat against Bournemouth the weekend. They're supposed to get beat. So Bournemouth are supposed to win this game. And that, I think, is where Blackpool can be most dangerous. They're away from home, nothing to fear, total underdogs. And, at the end of the day, I think that can be a dangerous position for a side going into a game like this. And as I said, if they can keep it 0-0 for as long as possible, the crowd will get on at Bournemouth, and that's where it could be dangerous for Bournemouth. But saying that, I mean, your strength. I mean, have you signed Gary Cahill today? Has that gone through? Or
it's gone through on a 1-year deal. He's not going to be playing tomorrow. It sounds like he's not up to fitness, but he's just going to add that level of experience to what's a very young squad at the moment. We got a lot of the academy players that are being blooded and are proving their worth. And for us, it's so nice to see players with a lot of hunger, rather than Premier League players who feel entitled that they should play in the Premier League, that they didn't have to play in the Championship, and they did in patches last season. And look where we were. We got knocked out of the playoffs. So this season, I think there's a lot of players that are striving for their first team place and trying to cement it. So maybe Cahill can add a bit of experience to that as well. So should be interesting to see how he pans out. Yeah,
Kevin Stewart. One bit of positiveness for Blackpool. Kevin Stewart, who was sort of a big force last year, is sort of coming back in. Whether he'll feature tomorrow, I don't know. For me, the middle that midfield has been tough for Blackpool. Against Cardiff, against Coventry, that was a point where they were sort of getting overrun a little bit.
Right.
And the only thing is will they change their defence? Richard Keogh has started all the games for Blackpool, and he's looked a little sluggish, a little slow against Coventry's strikers. They went past him pretty easy. And again, he's obviously coming back into it. We know what happened at Derby and fitness and stuff like that. Will they change that again? Because if Bournemouth are a better side, a better attacking side, so will they be looking at that as that needs to be strengthened up? So I do think there'll be a couple of changes for Blackpool. I think it'll be at the back, and I think possibly in the middle. And I think they'll play one up front. I think they'll play Jerry Yates up front and try and have sort of like five across the middle, one up front, and try and support with wingers possibly. But Neil Critchley's, like last year, he was never frightened. They had a great win at Sunderland, and everyone was like, well, they're going to keep that team for for the following Saturday. They didn't. They changed the team, changed formation, and they still got the win. So he's not averse to changing it up, and and the team know what they're doing. He's got players to go in different positions. So again, that could be hard for opposition managers to sort of suss out. But yeah, listen, it's a tough game for Blackpool. There's no doubt about it. Bournemouth are expected to win. Listen, if Bournemouth win 3 or 4-0, that wouldn't surprise me. Okay. But at the same time, if Blackpool nick it 1-0, again, I'd be like, yeah, it doesn't surprise me because there's nothing to fear, and that sometimes is where a team can be dangerous. But it'd be interesting.
So with those two results in mind, then we'll finish off with a quick cheeky prediction from you.
3-1 Bournemouth. Yeah, I actually hope Blackpool score just for the fact that they've had. This is my only concern for Blackpool at the moment. They've had plenty of chances in front of goal, and just been blatant misses, like poor misses, and you can't do that in the Championship. You might only get one chance, like against Bournemouth. Like one chance against Bournemouth and miss, and you've got to take it. If you're going to beat these teams or nick a draw, you got to take them. So, in a way, I just want like Jerry Yates, for example, to get off the score. Whether they lose, just get a goal, to get the confidence going. But it does worry me. 3-1 Bournemouth. There you go.
Brilliant. Lovely stuff. Jed, thanks very much. So, people can follow you on Twitter at Jed Mills. That's GED Mills. Make sure you give him a follow. And also on TalkSport. When can people hear you?
Oh, we're like overnight, weekend, graveyard shift. When most people are sleeping, we're awake talking complete nonsense. So
I love it though.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good laugh. But yeah, and good luck to Bournemouth as well. I always like the way you play. I think you're great, and I expect you to be certainly there or thereabouts by the end of the season. So yeah, good luck to you guys.
Appreciate you coming on. Thanks very much. Well, that was Jed Mills there from TalkSport. And look, the free-for-all is about to commence. The room is filling up now. And above my head, you can see the link where you need to go to take part. Thanks, everyone that's tuned in. If you're new to this channel, subscribe, all that stuff. Jerry Yates, then, scored 20 league goals in 43 stars and 3 as a sub. He is a player that helped the team win promotion via the playoffs. He also had 8 assists as well. Another player could be Shane Lavery as well. Looks really exciting. Signed him from Northern Ireland, from Linfield, actually. Someone to look out for. Players who have been out injured for Blackpool include Medine, Kevin Stewart, Matty Virtue, and also Dimitri Michel as well. So Michel, he's not French. But we'll find out how that goes tomorrow. I tell you what, let's get going then. This is the free-for-all. Look who it is. Look who it is. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Sam?
Yes, not too bad, PK. Last time I saw you, was it Chelsea friendly, was it?
Yeah, I think it was. It's quite a while ago now. Feels like forever.
But so nice to be back at Dean Court, isn't it? And we got a nice, tasty league match to look forward to, and one that we're expected to win, which is a bit of a weird feeling.
Yeah, it's one of those strange games, isn't it? I mean, Blackpool, you do look at it and think probably should be a 3-pointer, but then you look at our squad and how young it is, and some of the play that we've been doing at the back. We're open to goals going in against us, although we've kept some good clean sheets recently. So it's difficult for me to look at the squad and work out who would you take out to bring people in when they're fit. So Brooks, for example, now that he's not suspended, who do you take out? And Leif Davis, I thought played really well, although out of position. I thought it was actually quite good. And Stanislas again, when's he going to get back into the side? How is he going to get back into the side? So you can't really drop Zamora. He's been brilliant. You can't really drop Anthony. He's even better. It's a nice dilemma to have, I think, for Scotty.
Do you think we're glossing over the obviously we were all delighted with the end of that match, but the first 70 minutes were pretty bad. I mean, we didn't have a shot on target in the first half. I think Jaden Ante was the first shot on target, which was a bit of a weak one into the keeper. But Brum, they had about 3 or 4 by half time, albeit they rarely tested. It was mainly through Chong. But then the match just changed on that moment when Ben Pearson he got involved, popped that ball over to Solanke, and thankfully that seemed to calm things down. So is it that a first goal is needed, and that tends to settle the nerves with our side?
Yeah, a little bit. I think I'd love to know the stats on the number of touches for the back four in the first 70 minutes, because it just seemed to be Kelly, Mepham, Kelly, Mepham. We were just playing it around Rossi, even not. It just, you look at it and you're thinking there's nobody coming forward back to get the ball, and then when Marcondes did, he was then targeted by their high press, and there was no outlet, and then we went long, and then Solanke couldn't quite hold it up. So yeah, the first 70 minutes weren't great to watch, but we didn't concede. But we just sort of held the ball and didn't really do much with it. So we needed that little bit of quality, as you say, from Pearson, or Pirlo, as people are calling him, to try and break down their defence and break through the midfield too.
I think it's quite important that we're learning lessons whilst we're winning, and that's quite a good position to be in, because quite often last season we seem to learn lessons and lose games, or more to the point, draw them for quite a while. We're going to bring in Robert from Latvia, who's with us. Morgan Scott's also standing by as well. But Robert, are you there, sir? No is the answer to that question. So what we're going to do is bring in Morgan Scott, because I know that he's there. Morgan, you all right?
Yeah, all good, thanks.
Good. Right, we haven't asked Paul this. I'm going to ask you this straight away. Gary Cahill, thoughts on his signing this morning, mate?
Oh, are you talking to me? Sorry.
Yeah, I was.
Oh, I thought you. I'm not sure, if I'm honest. Some people are going to say it's brilliant for experience. I'm surprised. I would have preferred a striker as a backup to Dom Solanke. I'm not so sure it's what we need right now. We got obviously Steve Cook to come back, Chris Mepham, and even Rossi. I think, considering the start he's made to the Championship and for full debut, I think he's been excellent. And I just don't think we need 4 centre backs. I think we could benefit from a second striker, if I'm honest.
Well, there's a lot of people in chat talking about the potential formation change that might need to happen, Paul, to accommodate players like Gary Cahill. But do you think that's going to happen? Is it wise to be changing a successful formula on the pitch?
Yes, I think when you've got a player with Cahill's ability, fitness, experience, I think you can't not play him. Especially, he's probably on big wages too. So for me, it seems like either Steve Cook's going to be out for a long time with his injury, or he may be moved on. It may be that he doesn't get on well with Parker. I don't know. It's possible, but it seems the whole thing seems very strange with Steve Cook losing his captaincy and everything else. It just doesn't sit right somewhere. I don't know what's going on, behind the scenes. But Cahill's got to play, I think, if he's fit. And then it's just a case of what you do with Kelly and Mepham, and who's with him. Do you stay with the back four and put Leif Davis back in his correct position, or do you play Smith at the left?
Yeah, well, one thing that's quite good is that he's not ready straight away, so that players like Ibsen Rossi can continue to boss him. I would just hate it whereby by default we would put Gary Cahill on and Ibsen Rossi's just basically lost and don't play him again sort of thing. And that he's not put a foot wrong, Ibsen Rossi, and I think he's been such a good performer for us. Players like Jordan Zamora, that goal-saving challenge he made was unbelievable. It was easier to score an own goal, and he managed to clear it. And that was an equaliser waiting to happen. So certain players are going to get confidence from this. Jayden Anthony, right place, right time. Ibsen Rossi was pulling the strings, telling Stanislas, "This is where I want you to put the corner," and he was hiding in the goal mouth. And then he came out, and we know the rest. So honestly, I think it's really good the way it's going at the moment. And Robert is now back in, and he's what's this? Robert, we're gonna win the league, is what he says.
We're gonna win the league.
Really now? Really?
Yes,
well, you know
yes.
what? There is certainly a good vibe about this now, isn't it? It does feel different. And I was just saying to a few friends on a WhatsApp chat earlier today, I don't know whether I'm reading into it a bit too much, but the vibe from the players, the body language, everyone just seems so much happier. I don't know if you've seen the gallery on afcb.co.uk, but everyone just seems really excited, Robert.
That's really good. I want to see us, being happy and stuff, because when we were playing like in February in like 2021, we were like in an 8th position and we were so bad. Like the team looked like, I actually felt we were gonna be like a mid-table team for one moment, but no, we didn't give up. We got a new manager. You see this guy? No, on this side, yeah. We signed him. We are getting players, and now we are playing really good. We see our youth getting better, and I mean, it's just fantastic to see the players, being happy, not being sad, and not really trying to finish, in 15th place, just trying to win the league somehow. I mean, I don't know if that's gonna happen. Of course, I'm joking, but of course, if we are gonna do that, that's gonna be amazing, because seeing Bournemouth lift that championship trophy second time, yeah, that would be fantastic. That would be fantastic, and I would love to see that.
How much of this at this stage, Paul, do you think, how much of the sort of good vibe between supporters and on the pitch and everything like that, how much of it at this stage can we actually put down to Scott Parker, do you think?
I think it's difficult because there's a lot of change everywhere. There's a change in management, change in players, backroom staff. I think the performances is what's sort of gelling them together. It's the showing the passion on the pitch. We're seeing players actually out there really fighting for their positions now. Like you say, it's Ibsen Rossi. If he doesn't play well, then he's clearly going to get dropped for Cahill or whoever's fit to come in. So he's really got to step up his game, and he has. He's been absolutely solid at the back. So it genuinely is down to the players who've made us gel, and Scott Parker may well have helped by making sure that the team are gelling. At the back, it's nice to see the players happy. It's nice to see everyone fighting for the club. It's nice to see players who want to be here, and that's like Billing coming out saying, "I want to stay." That was brilliant.
That doesn't
the
happen.
The only thing we're missing is, as Morgan says, is a striker, a second striker. Solanke's brilliant, but we need somebody else. He needs some support and a bit of competition too.
So then, Paul, is this going to be your free-for-all outside the stadium debut for this season, or have you got a shoot on tomorrow?
Not sure. I'm bringing my 6-year-old. So it's his first league game. So
Amazing.
He's very excited already. Although the last game he came to was MK Dons and we won 5-0. He now expects us to win 5-0 every game. So yeah, I've got a bit of expectation to try and break down a little bit.
You're taking him to his first league game. That's really nice. I mean, like what my dad did when I was young, right? He took me to reserve games, but told me they were the real thing, and I was so disappointed. I was like, "These are crap." There's like 500 people there, Dad. Like, what? And this was the old Dean Court. So the facilities weren't even great. But yeah, hopefully he'll enjoy it tomorrow, mate. Anyway, and Paul,
I'm pretty sure we're going to win.
Yeah, I was about to say prediction. Come on then.
4-1.
I like it.
I'm thinking goals. There's going to be goals.
That's what I like to see. Thanks very much, Paul Kenworth.
No problem. Cheers,
buddy.
Bye.
Thank you very much. We got Kirk standing by as well. We got Liam coming in next, but Kirk is here as well. Kirky, how are you, buddy?
Not too bad. How you doing, Sam? How you doing, guys?
Very well, buddy. Very well, mate. Talk to me about this video that you did on Wednesday during the game. 3,800 views or something ridiculous.
Yeah, we thought, why not? Let's go for it. We saw how well you did out of it last season, and it's very interactive, and we can't all be there. I definitely couldn't make the Birmingham game away. So me and John said, should we have a go at this? And it was really successful. Morgan was in there as well, letting us know his thoughts. And we got up to 3,800 or something. So we'll definitely be doing some of them again, because it did make us feel part of the game, even though we weren't in Birmingham.
Yeah, it's weird. You know what? I was saying to Tom and Tiggs and Jeff, who I've done them before. I don't know why they're so well received, but I think a lot of people just feel a bit aggrieved at paying the £10 to actually watch AFCB TV, and maybe they live out the area, so they can't pick up Radio Soul on their radios, and they're not even keen on paying the money for an audio stream. So I think when you've got like a couple of your reprobates like yourself and John who are willing to talk you through it. Loved your goal reactions, by the way. It was really, really good. And very much enjoyed it. Hope to see them again. I'm not sure we'll do them on this channel this season, alas. Let's just talk about the game tomorrow, mate. 3 points, right? It's got to be.
Oh, well, it should be, shouldn't it? Championship's not that easy, though, is it? So,
it's not.
Your guest talked about scoring inside the first 20 minutes, and I always look to score inside the 25th minute mark. And if we take the lead, hopefully we can build on that and go in a couple of goals up. But the longer the game goes on 0-0, then obviously they'll make it harder for us to score against them. I think it'll be a completely different game to the Birmingham game. I definitely think we'll take this fixture to Blackpool. From podcasters I've spoken to, they've been very much setting up with a 4-4-2 this season. But remember, they've only scored one goal away from home, that 1-1 draw against Bristol City. The previous 2 games, they've lost 2-0 at home. So the only point they've got on the road, the only goal they've scored on the road. But I do expect them to load that midfield and maybe pay Jerry Yates up on his own. And remember, Jeremy Yates is trying to get off the mark as well. So he'll fancy himself for a goal tomorrow to add to the 21 he got in League One last season.
You've got the nightclub lights in your house as well, by the looks of it, like Steve Hensman had the other day, mate. I need to get your opinion on Gary Cahill, mate. And sorry, Morgan, I know you've been quiet for a while, but I will come back to you. But what are your thoughts on the signing? Because look, there's some obvious reservation there, given the fact that we have got Steve Cook, we've got these youngsters who are shining. Give us your sort of immediate thoughts when it was announced that he has put pen to paper this morning, mate.
It's Gary Cahill, not quite Ryan Gary. But let's just say that I'm 50-50 on it, to be honest with you. I can see both sides of the coin from, the fans that maybe think, why? And then fans that go, absolutely, what he can add. I get that. The thing I'm quite not understanding at the moment is that we've got enough centre-backs and the centre-backs that are showing their worth that we never saw coming in the likes of Rossi. I definitely wouldn't want to disturb that development. Mepham looks much more improved from his last day of the season last season. And Mepham's defending differently to that Brentford game. And I like the way that he's definitely trying to improve and grow and develop as well. Look, Cahill's 35, championship season. We're only going to find out in May, Sam, whether this is going to work out. It could end up him playing 20 games and he'll be a great development and we'll have someone assured in front of Travers because, someone's probably going to say, well, you were saying that there was no, leaders or there was no experience in front of Travers. Now there is. It could go with him playing 20 games and being very good for us. I can also see him playing 5 games for us and we've had whatever the wages are, don't know what we're paying him, but we're going to pay him for 1 year and not really get a lot out of it. And that's my concern because what we're not going to get out of it is profit. So whatever we're paying in the next 6 to 9 months, we've got to get a return on that. And to me, leadership is one part of that, Sam, but I think we have a lot of leaders in this squad now. I look at Scott Parker as a leader, the manager at the forefront. So it does play a part. That's probably my TV that's glowing, by the way. So, but yeah, I'm 50-50 on it. Will be interesting to see if he scores a winner at Hull next week, and hopefully I'm there. Then
all be forgiven, right? Yeah,
absolutely.
All be forgiven. A player that you'll be very delighted, Morgan, to see the return of is a certain David Brooks. I mean, him getting sent off was terrible at Nottingham Forest. It was 2 really silly moments, but he's much improved this season, isn't he? And he certainly will be better than what Leif Davis was on that right flank because, he tried really hard, Leif Davis. And yeah, he did do all right, but it's not his natural position. It doesn't, he didn't seem to have that much pace. He just didn't really know the position. And I feel for the guy. He playing on the other side of the pitch and playing further up. But you must be delighted he's back.
Absolutely. From what we've seen of him, he looks. One thing that you must have my head down for a minute there. I that was just what I was about to say. He looks so much happier in training from what you see. The whole squad does, but he can get quite frustrated with himself. But when he's up there smiling, and you can see the confidence from what he he's a talented footballer. Let's not forget that. And when he's on it, he's on it. But when he beats himself up and gets frustrated and as you mentioned in the Nottingham Forest game, gets himself sent off for a bit of a silly mistake just because someone got past him, but it just makes it so much nicer when he's actually smiling. He's only, 24, and he just seems to always look so frustrated. But when hopefully, now he's in a good run of form, I know obviously he didn't play on Wednesday, but hopefully he can put the smile into his game and not get so frustrated with himself this season.
Yeah, agreed. Kirk, before I let you go then, prediction wise, what are you going for tomorrow? Are you going to go for a goal fest, or is this just going to be one of those ones that we want it to be a goal fest, but it might not be?
No, I think it will. I think we will score a couple of goals at least. I do think we'll concede. I went for a clean sheet against Birmingham because every goalkeeper's going to get a clean sheet, and I fancy Travers to get one. But I do think we'll concede tomorrow. Maybe Jerry Yates will get a sort of goal at the end or something to get a consolation for Blackpool. But I'm going for a 3-1 Bournemouth win.
3-1 Bournemouth win. Kirk, thanks very much for coming on. Really appreciate it, buddy.
No worries. Cheers.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much. And yeah, Morgan, go on then. Before you go then, apart from David Brooks, you tell me which player you're most looking forward to seeing on that pitch for Bournemouth tomorrow, one that we haven't mentioned so far, and also twin it with a prediction for the game then, please.
I would say Monconda, just because I think the guy should. In the last couple of games, the game against Forest and the game against Birmingham, I think he was a little bit out of the game. But I really like what I've seen of the guy on social media and the fact that he's so interactive with fans, and obviously he scored as well. And I'm going to go for a 2-0 win. I'm not sure he's going to score, but I reckon we'll just nick it by 2-0.
Excellent. Morgan, thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks very much.
Up the cherries. Cheers, mate. Thank you. We're going to fill this chat up, Robert. We'll keep you on for a bit because we're going to chat to you about our midfield and the dilemmas that we might be having ahead of tomorrow's match, because I don't know if it's a selection headache, you could call it, but some may call it that. We've got Liam.
Hey.
Hello, Liam.
Hello.
How many of those CDs have you listened to today? Love it. We got not many. We've also got John Spark here as well. John, how you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing good, thanks. How are you, Sam?
Yeah, very, very well. Okay, let's chat midfield. A certain someone came on the pitch and helped to change the game on Wednesday night with that ball over to Dom Solanke. And John, we'll start with you. Is he going to go straight in? What's going to happen?
I'm going to put it out there that I think an extra 2 days of training isn't going to have really brought him up to quite the fitness to get him the full 90. I mean, that doesn't mean that he can't start. And, there'd be a good argument for saying that he should start because of the impact that he had in the last game. I think he could have done with being brought on earlier, because Kilkenny, I think, really struggled on his own because of how well Bournemouth pressed him and shut him down as much as they possibly could. But this game will be different. Blackpool have played a 4-4-2 in every game so far. And if you're going to play like that, it's very difficult to put one man on the number 6 that's going to be picking up those pockets of space as the link between the attackers and the defence. So Kilkenny should have a field day more so in this game, and he has the passing range that I think Pearson doesn't quite have. I think Pearson is a good passer, and he's certainly more combative and able to deal with the kind of pressing that we can come under. But I think Kilkenny is probably still the man I'd rather keep in at this point, with Pearson as an option off the bench if necessary.
Yeah, Liam's nodding his head to that. Liam, defensive wise, let's talk about them. I mean, players like Ibsen Rossi have been unbelievable so far, haven't they? Isn't it incredible how these youngsters have just taken to the championship? Just like
I don't know how we're going to change it to put Cahill, who
Yeah, I know. I mean, do you think? Well, I mean, thankfully he's not going to be ready just yet. But you know, sort of every better performance that Ibsen Rossi has, it's going to make it harder and harder for Scott Parker to make that decision, isn't it?
Yeah. And Travers, we had a drop for the new keeper.
Well, that's right. Yeah. So, Nyland's come in, but as long as Travers sort of doesn't make any mistakes, I think, he's all right. He made a couple of like saves from snapshots for Chong, and he palmed them out quite well, I think. And I think overall he was pretty good. There've been some footwork issues, I think. Previously, there've been sort of distribution problems, but this is the experience that, we're all saying he needs to be, loaned out. He's getting the experience right now. So as long as he doesn't keep on making mistakes like we thought he could do, then who knows? Maybe he could be our answer. Robert, who's impressed you so far for AFC Bournemouth this season?
Jaden Anthony. He's my favorite. How he or maybe actually Rossi. What a center back! Like youngsters, the youth. Like I don't know. Like we are great with youth right now. Let's not call Sigurdsson or maybe Adam Johnson because that won't really make any good. Let's not call them. But like, I mean, they both have been really, really good. Like on top, we have been really, really good. Like Solanke, he's not old. He's not 35. He's 23 or 24, I think. Then we have Jaden Anthony, who is actually young as well. Now we have young defense. We have Zemura. We have Rossi. I just love how we play and how the manager has impacted the team right now because I see Cookie is not playing. We're playing the youth. Who knows? Maybe he's gonna get sold. Maybe we don't know what's gonna happen. Let's hope he's not gonna get sold because he's a captain and he's a leader. We cannot sell him. He's a legend.
And Liam, what about this fella on the right hand side here? What's going to happen with him? Is he going to stay or what?
I think we're keeping till January.
Keep until January. Yeah, that would be. I mean, but do you think that's feasible? Do you think that can be done?
Yeah, I don't think many go on because he's had that ban. So not many will be watching him.
Well, you know what? You make a good point. Yeah, really interesting stuff. Liam, are you going to the game tomorrow?
Yeah,
good
I'll be
man.
There. East Stand.
You're in the East Stand. Which side of the East Stand? Are you nearer the north side? Or,
near the corner.
Yeah. Okay, mate. Like what row?
It's by the wheelchair bit.
Okay, mate. I will look out for you. For you half time. I'll give you a shout because I'm in the North Stand, mate. So I'm pretty sure I've seen you at the front before. But honestly, appreciate you coming on once again, Liam. Thank you so much. Cheers, buddy.
Up the Cherries.
3-1
tomorrow.
3-1. That's what I like to see. You love to see it. And Robert, what's your score prediction?
3-0. I have a feeling that it's going to be 3-0. I don't know why are people saying that we are going to concede. I don't know. I don't think Blackpool are so good that we are going to concede them. I don't think so. I think it's going to be 3-0. It's going to be that normal game, That'd be, a 3-0, just a standard 3-0 with 60% possession. That's it.
That's it. I love that prediction. You've even gone for a possession start. That's Robert there. Thank you so much. That was Robert in Latvia. What a guy. And if you want to take part, look, we're only going to go for 10 minutes more. There's the link at the top, afcbpodcast.com/take part. Do you know much about this Morgan Rogers, John?
No, I really don't at all. I know he was on loan at Lincoln, and Mark McAdam was quite impressed with him when he was playing there. Tends to play on the left. He would most likely be competition for Jaden Anthony first. He's right-footed, but when you go and look and try and find things up, FIFA's a decent resource for at least a surface level of stuff. They put him as a 4-star weak foot, so he's obviously got a decent left foot, which means I would be hopeful that he could be a decent backup on the right-hand side for Brooks, because that's one of the areas we're missing, I think, is that there isn't anyone that naturally replaces Brooks on the right-hand side. Leif Davis had to come in for him against Birmingham. So as much as we need another striker, and he could play as a striker in the same way that Jaden Anthony could play as an upfront as well. You've got we are going to need a little bit more depth on the wings, and as much as Stanislas Kaz can play obviously left or right wing, I really do think he's going to be more used as one of the number 8s this season. That's I'm not sure how much it sort of suits his game, because I prefer him starting wide and drifting inside naturally. But that's certainly, he's got the technical ability on the ball to easily replace, say, Marcondes on that right side of the front 8. So of the 2-8. So
yeah. So season-long loan looks to be the option if we are going to do that, and that seems to be the way that most things are going at the moment, or short-term deals in terms of Cahill. Now, some bonus money that we look to be getting in is for Ramsdale, who looks as though he's finalising his move to Arsenal, and AFC Bournemouth, as Jacob Tanswell from Dorset Live reports, will be getting a significant cash windfall due to the sell-on clause that Neil Blake put in place, believed to be slightly over 15%. That's about £4 million. Nice bit of cash for doing nothing, isn't it?
Well, I mean, we did bring him through for a few years, so it's an even better return on investment. It takes our 18.5 million and takes it over 20 that we get for him instead. So from what I've seen from one or two bits on news that I've looked up, is that he's been getting pelters from a very small vocal minority of Arsenal fans, which really doesn't do anything to persuade you of what you assume Arsenal fans are like. But it's a very small amount of people that are the kind of idiots that we don't want associated with anyone really. But unfortunately, they exist. So I hope that he's doing okay. He's already had his first training session with his Arsenal teammates. I think I've seen a picture of him already diving away with an Arsenal badge on his chest. So he'll get us settled in, and I think it won't be too long before he replaces Leno, because Leno hasn't looked great, and Ramsdale is a lot better than most people I think would assume that he is, from his record of 3 relegations at 4 different clubs. So he's. He'll be fine for that England spot in no time.
Brilliant stuff. Right, well, we'll keep you on to choose the team. Just a bit of housekeeping before we move on to the next bit. In terms of Morgan Rogers, he has actually befriended 5 AFC Bournemouth players on Instagram, by the looks of it, according to one person. So whether that means anything, I don't know. But people look into this kind of stuff. It's absolutely nuts, isn't it? Also, if you're looking to go to the game tomorrow, there are no more tickets available. The match is sold out for home fans after dropping to general sale last Sunday. A reminder that Harewood Avenue is closed. I think this is the last home game where it is closed, given our next 2 are away. So that means you can't come from the sort of little down a direction that's not via the Wessex Way. You know where I mean, going through the back streets by Avonbourne School or whatever it's called now. Make sure that you arrive in plenty of time if you're picking up tickets, because the queues that happen, and also because one of the South Stand turnstiles is out of action. Make sure you get there early as well, because the queues for that are pretty long. Thanks for all your monetary support on Ko-Fi. Really appreciate it. At the end of the screen, your name, if you're part of it, is on the Legends wall. We really appreciate all the monthly donations. The mugs are being purchased next week, so we will be posting them out as well. So thanks to everyone that's purchased a mug. I will be emailing everyone who's done so individually to say thank you and to let you know when you're going to get it right. I think we need to go through our predicted team for tomorrow. And John Spark is the man to take us through it, John. So shall we start in goal? And I think we know who it's going to be, yeah?
It's obviously going to be Nyland making his debut. It's going to be Mark Travers. There's no reason to drop him, particularly after getting his first clean sheet of the season. He'll definitely be in there.
Okay, and look, people have been talking, once Gary Cahill does eventually sort of work his way into contention, that the shape might change, but we probably will go forward back tomorrow. Can you see any changes?
No, I don't think so. I think this, we're unbeaten in this formation, and we've already dealt with playing a centre back at right back for the last 2 games, and there's no reason to change that. Parker's been sensible in his tactical shift in the way that Mepham sort of pulls in to form a back three when we're in possession, which frees up Zamora to get further forward as well. It does affect how much we can attack down that right-hand side, but it keeps us a little bit more secure, a little bit more confident in possession at the back. And it's a sensible way to deal with having a centre-back forced to play on the right.
How do you think Mepham fared actually on that right side against Birmingham City?
Yeah, I think he did really well. I think it was him, him as well as Ibsen Rossi and Kelly were really important in having that height to deal with all of the balls that were being put into the box by Birmingham. And it was also pleasant to see that as much as Leif Davis struggled in terms of attacking down the right, he was vital in also sort of coming round to act as a right wing back at times to really help defending that right hand side and providing a little bit more security. So yes, he did better, I think, against Birmingham than he did against Forest. Early yellow card against Forest didn't help him. But I think he'll be able to do for one more game. Hopefully, it's just the one more. Fingers crossed that we've got Stacey or Smith back next week for Hull away. Yeah,
it's bizarre, really, because I swear now for 2 or 3 games in a row, sort of Scott Parker's insinuated that Jack Stacey's nearly ready, but he never quite is ready. So when that's going to happen, I don't know. So yeah, are you happy with those 5 so far?
Yeah, no doubt.
Okay. Let's push on to the midfield then, and it's possibly one where we'll see no changes, but I'll allow you to talk me through it, mate.
Yeah, so I agree. As I said before, I think there'll be no changes. I don't really see a reason to need to change. And like I said, I think in this game, Kilkenny's going to have a much easier time of things to try and dictate possession. Blackpool don't play in a low block. They do try and play a bit more of a high line.
Yeah.
So he is going to come up against some pressure, but if he does, he's got the ability to get around it and spray those passes. And that is particularly with Brooks back in. It's going to be really important that he gets much more on the ball and much more involved in the game than he did against Birmingham.
With them playing that kind of style, that and our twinned with our high press, could it be a repeat of sort of the MK Dons game where it could be a goal fest?
I don't think Blackpool are a team that'll play around at the back very much.
They're not as naive, are they? No.
So I don't think they'll be quite as eager to keep the ball at the back like MK Dons try to. And Blackpool aren't known for scoring a lot of goals. They are, they're known for their strong defence, which hasn't really happened for them at the start of this season. But they also started slowly in League One last season. So, it's sort of who they play at centre back is going to be the sort of important thing to be how effective they are, because the Blackpool fans aren't too happy with Richard Keogh.
No, they're not, and he's been a little bit slow as well. And you just think like the pace of Dom Solanke, Jaden Anthony, and David Brooks. He could rip him a new one. He really could.
Could do.
Yeah, could do. Okay, so then we move on, and look, I think this pretty much writes itself. But go on then. Who's player 9, 10, and 11 here then?
Well, you got Anthony, you got Brooks, and you got Solanke.
Yeah.
2 of them, one of them back from suspension, and the other 2 fresh from getting their first league goals of the season. I think it's going to be interesting, having spoken to a few, and I was on the Seasiders pod for their preview last night. That was last night, wasn't it? Yeah. Days are all melding together. They were talking about how they don't really have a right back at the moment. They've basically got a centre back playing at right back, and they're desperate for the club to bring in someone at right back. And so I'm hoping that Anthony is able to combine nicely with Zamora and have a bit of a field day on that left hand side. And then at their centre backs, the interesting thing is apparently they've got a couple of their centre backs coming back in to contention to play at centre back this match, or possibly coming back from injury, because at the moment this season they played Richard Keogh and James Husband in all 3 games.
Yeah.
And last season, James Husband only played 13 games.
Right.
And Richard Keogh obviously wasn't there. He was at MK Dons. They had 3 other players that they played more often at centre back. and 2 of those look like they might be coming back in. So they might change things up a bit, and it might allow them to play that higher line a bit more accurately to what they want. But if it is Richard Keogh, then I am expecting the pace of Anthony Brooks and Solanke to hopefully turn him inside out. He's an experienced defender, so he's got he knows what he's doing, but he's not a player you want playing a high line against pacey attackers, and we've got the men to take advantage of that.
We have, and look, you said it well on your watch along. The goal that Dom Solanke scored, I mean, it looked fairly simple, but it wasn't. He started from behind the defender. He outpaced him. He outmuscled him. He stayed really strong. The ball was almost under his feet, and somehow, when off balance, he dug out a shot which went across the keeper. I mean, we were all going absolutely nuts, as you've probably seen. I went absolutely crazy. But, I mean, that'll do his confidence a world of good, won't it? And then playing against a team like Blackpool, sorry, no offence caused, intended, he's probably going to be licking his lips at this fixture.
Yeah, it's interesting with Bournemouth's attack so far this season. We've taken the joint fewest shots of any team in the Championship so far season, tied with Swansea. So 2 of the most possession-based sides have actually taken the fewest shots this season. But unlike Swansea, who before tonight had only scored 1 goal, we've scored 6. We haven't had over 1 XG in a game yet. So
I love it when you bring out the XG. I love it. It's like you're talking dirty to me, mate. I love it. Go on.
So in layman's terms, over chances, we shouldn't have scored more than 1 goal in any game so far, and we scored 2 in all 3.
Yeah.
So we've been clinical, way beyond what would be expected of us. Particularly in that Birmingham game, we only made 2 chances really, and we scored them both. And Dominic Solanke's chance wasn't even a half chance; it was really difficult. But you've got to look at the teams we played against. West Brom, we struggled with the high press. Against Nottingham Forest, we had a man sent off for 30 minutes just as we looked like we were about to turn it on, and Nottingham Forest were about to tire, and we went down to 10 men. And then against Birmingham, we really struggled with our high press. We couldn't get ourselves forward at all. Didn't take a shot in the first half. In this game, there's a lot more that should be sort of in our favour when you compare the 2 sides and how we attack and how they defend. And their record in defence. There's no team has suffered more shots against them than Blackpool. They've had 37 shots against them so far in 3 games. So the attackers should be licking their lips for this game, but they can't take it. They can't take them too carelessly. And if there is a slight change up in their defensive line, they could suddenly become a lot more solid, because they were they were the best defence in League One last season by. Not a huge margin, but by a few goals. So we should be okay in terms of keeping them relatively quiet up front. It's just about how are we going to be able to break them down? And I think we will. I'm going for a 3-0 win.
3-0. Perfect, John. Really appreciate you coming on today, mate. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thanks for having me on again, Sam.
No worries at all. See you very soon. That's John Spark there. Make sure you follow him on Twitter, by the way. I'll retweet one of his recent tweets on Twitter in a bit, so because he had a viral tweet the other day. There's like 200 likes or something. Unbelievable. Loads of retweets. I'll retweet a tweet very shortly so you can get following him. Right. What's your prediction? Let us know. I'll give you about 30 seconds. Whack it in chat right now. Prediction for tomorrow, please. And I'll read yours out very, very shortly. So make sure you're subscribed to this channel and all the usual chat. Right, here come the predictions then. Oh, I love a bit of these. Right, firstly, we got up the Cherries, my beauties. 3-0. Fruity game. Great pun. Really like what he did there. Like what he did. Better than my jokes at the start, I've got to say. Chris Hubble, 3-0 Bournemouth. Popular scoreline. Mark Cole, 3-0. Heather, 5-1. Heather, love you. That's brilliant. Sammy, Like a broken record, she goes for 3-1. But it's a good scoreline. A lot of people are saying that. 4-0, says Paul. Love that. Another 4-0, Stephen Dyer. 2-0 to AFC Bournemouth. 2 goals for Anthony, by the looks of it. 3-1, says Liam Humby. Rich goes for a 3-1. 4-0. We've got another 4-0 there. 3-0 from Dan Beale. Tiggs, 5-2. Harping back to the Millennium Stadium days. Love it. 0-3. Well, 3-0 to the Cherries, that is. 3-0 as well for Daisy. 3-0 for Cameron. Bournemouth to win 4-1, says Paul. Paul, eternally grateful for your support for the channel, by the way. Thank you so much, mate. Really appreciate it. 2-0 we've got here. We've got another 4-0 from Terry. 2-0. 3-0. 3-1 here. David Whitehead. 4-0. Nice to see you outside the last one, by the way. And Andrew, 4-0 as well. Speaking of seeing you outside the stadium, this is the beautiful place where we're going to be tomorrow. Oh, I can't wait to be here. And right, that little bit that's sticking out where my mouse cursor is there, like that little bit, that's the 1910 bar up there, all right? See, just outside it, there's some little yellow hatchings. We're on the kind of other side of the fence there, literally where my mouse is there, okay? Hopefully you can see that nice and clear. What I'll do is I'll help you out by putting it full screen, right? So see where it is there. That is where we are stood. We're not on the concourse because we don't want to get in the way of people trying to filter out the ground. But if you want to get in touch and be on the free-for-all after the game, we would love to have your opinions and we'll get them onto YouTube straight away. We're really looking forward to it. Right, thank you so much. We've been an hour and a bit. We try to keep these as an hour. You'll probably hear that my throat is still really hoarse from Birmingham, and it might not get any better tomorrow. Hoping for a win. My prediction, 3-0. Of the Cherries. See you tomorrow.